What are we looking at here? 4 degrees Celsius or about 38 Fahrenheit. So this is where I work, obviously, and today it's the turn of the Caddy. Main reason being, boom boom, we have 1 ECU. So obviously that's good news. It's a bit chilly out here, but that's okay. We can live with chilly. I think I'll just wear an extra layer, you know, a couple of hoodies, and I'm good. I've got my usual red hoodie in the dryer at the minute because the cat's been sleeping on it. So the last 2 days that I haven't worked, it immediately becomes his bed. And George he seems to like sort of clothes that you've worn, and he's always on top of those. He doesn't care for a soft bed, either hard surfaces or whatever. But regardless, I threw all of that in the wash this morning and it's in the dryer at the minute. So I'll come down in a couple of minutes, half an hour or so, and work and reassemble this. Hopefully that will make a difference. I'm hoping that this thing will actually then run as we want it to run, which is kind of just reliably. The ECU I ordered specifically with the immobilizer chip removed because these do pose problems at times. Hopefully that'll make a difference as well. But at the moment I've got so many cars on the bloody drive. You got the van up there, you got the green car, the new Peugeot CC, that's up there on the drive just between the house and the alleyway, and then of course the company car as well. So it's a whole lot of shuffling around, but you ain't got no choice. You've got to do this stuff to make all this stuff work. So yeah, I'll be back in a bit, have a coffee, and then come and play and see if I can get this thing sorted. I haven't even shut the bonnet, obviously, while I was waiting for it to get ready, but we'll be back and hopefully it'll work. Fingers crossed. Right, so today's job is getting this little guy back in where it came from, which is up there. This is the throttle control sensor, basically, and the lights that are flickering like this is my LED spotlight, so that's not doing me any favors with the filming, but there you go. Get that plugged back in, get the hooked over the top of the throttle up here. There's a little pin, and then the whole lot has to be screwed together with a couple of captive Allen head screws right at the top there. They were awkward to get out. They're probably going to be equally awkward to get back in, but I made my bed, I think is the saying, so we will be sleeping in this one. Filming might really suck. You just think so. In like that. That's part 1. Part 2 will be getting these 2 little Allen heads seated, and then also getting this little guy. It might be the wrong way around. Let's just see. Is that the way? And it comes over this way. Obviously, once it's seated. Get these little guys in, see if I can get them seated. Front one shouldn't be that much of a problem, he says famously. So that's the first one. I don't know if this camera is capturing any of this. And then the second one, that's when it gets interesting. I have to go into octopus mode to get this in the back. First of all, find the hole in the dark. And how many times are we going to drop it? It'll be interesting. Let me just see. I doubt it's going to stick to that. So it's no use trying to feed it in. No. You might just have a blank screen for a while and some grunting as I try and get this thing in, which when I took it out I couldn't see what I was doing, so getting it in the opposite direction might be a bit of a problem. Right, I got the second Allen head seated at the back. This thing doesn't help me much, this light. I used a little bit of masking tape to just literally secure the head onto the Allen key. This one is a different one, obviously, to that. But I managed to seat it. Initially it wouldn't release, so I had to rethink it and just literally had the most, probably 2 millimeters of it tucked in with a little bit of the masking tape just in the head, so that when it seated and I felt it sort of hit the threads, I then used one finger to hold it and the other one just to pop the Allen head or the Allen key off the top of it. So that made a difference. That just dropped to the floor. I'm now going in to see if I can tighten this. They should tighten up, and then hopefully hook the actual control cable onto the pedal, which you can see there the actuator moves. So once the little rubber bung is hooked onto that golden point there, which I know you've seen before, we should have the throttle refitted. Okay, that worked. I just got to get everything else out. Shit. There you go. So that stayed behind for a moment, the actual little Allen bit. So okay, that's on. It's all tightened as it should be. I'll put these out the way so we don't lose them. And then next step is to try and actually get the little rubber bung onto the throttle, which hopefully isn't too much of a thing. As you can see, that should just slip over there like that. The whole thing, I'm not using too much force. There we go. All right, we have a throttle, we have a full return, and that's fixed, I think. Next trick will be reassembling the ECU in the front of the scuttle, and then we'll start the thing and see if that works. Prayers, 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 and more prayers. Let's go. Next job. Right, we're coming on to the next job. I'm not sure how much the camera is going to show. Hopefully it will. The bracket that holds the ECU in place under the very exposed scuttle obviously looks a bit scruffy. I'm not restoring it. This is a relatively cheap car. I need it to be functional, nothing more. So all I'm going to do is run a grinder over it a little bit, clear some of this shit off, and then I will use probably 1 or 2 steel brushes, welding brushes, just to really get into the corners of stuff. But to me that's good enough for the moment. I can't imagine doing much more than that. Once that's done, I'll literally just give it the lightest of coats of some silver. I probably have some alloy wheel silver or something in the back. It really doesn't matter. In fact, I've got the same silver as the car. But I'll spray it some random color of whatever wasted paint I've got. It might even go black. Black looks good in the dark, doesn't it? So yeah, first thing I guess is to just figure a way of tightening it in here so it doesn't go anywhere. Let's really go the right way around. Let's try it again. That's the problem, is trying to get this thing to sit in here. I'm not sure this is going to work either. It's going to be this way, back to front, and I'm just going to have to be cautious with just how I handle the grinder. Right, glasses, don't forget the bloody glasses. And to be honest, I really shouldn't be a fool once I figure out where they're hidden, even using my hearing protection. I happen to have tinnitus, and I know exactly where that kind of became a problem. When I was building the resin rocket, grinding down the whole of the frame, before I gusseted it all and tightened it up, made it so it could really handle, I didn't use hearing protection. So I was on the grinder for about 2 days, and that doesn't do anyone's hearing good. And there's probably a history of me abusing my ears. So hearing protection and safety glasses, I think that's probably good enough for now. And then we can go for it. Actually changed my mind. We're going to go black, and we'll go grey primer. And no, for this I'm not using any further cleaning or cleaning agents. It's literally just to keep it looking a little bit better. You'll see there's actually holes rusted through in places. I don't have a replacement bracket, so this is going to be good enough for the next 5 years. I doubt I'll have this car for 5 years. At the moment, let's get it onto just something as easy as this. Not clever again, but we'll be doing it this way. Good as it's going to get, once again. Doesn't need more than that, does it? Satin, black. Give it a chance to dry. And we'll refit it. Just find a nail to hang it from so it can dry. And we'll be good. Right, next part. Cleaned up and painted that satin black. We have a new refurbished ECU That hopefully will do the job. Reassembly, simple I hope. Slide it into its bracket, clips in there, nice and secure. Now the trick is, I laugh like a madman when things scare me, because sometimes it's just little jobs that are really awkward. It's about getting this back in there, onto its little feet. There we go. So that's fitted as far as that's concerned. Next step will be to get this little guy that we nearly lost earlier on, get him back on there. Just got to figure out how to get my hand in there, or some fingers. This is one of those awkward ones where you somehow have to try and use a little bit of trickery. Let's see if we can get this in by feeding it on the end of the little, oh shit, just like that. You don't want to lose it. It's quite awkward because the angles and the lines are all wrong, but if this is going to go brilliant. Okay, so that's the easy part, or maybe it is the difficult part, is getting that back on there. Now just use my finger to thread it back in as far as it'll go. Hey George! George has just woken out of his slumber. He's been, the last week it's been cold, and he's been hiding indoors. He's normally a bit of an outdoors cat, like sleeping under a bush. Right. This is quite awkward because you really have no grip on this. But I'll just keep trying, because every little move I make is probably a move in the right direction. Because that's not working very well. Let's see. Plan B. Let's see, my tools all live in my pouch on the hoodie now. This is such an awkward fit. Let's see how loose this is, how tight it is still. There we go. A little bit at a time. This is why these jobs take a while. Often a bit of awkwardness. This is mad. It's just so bloody awkward. Let's try the extension again. Problem lies in the fact that this axle for the wiper is spot on in line with where this little guy lives. So you can't actually get it to seat properly. There we go. Right, that's tight. Next job, small prayer, deep breath, reassemble with the new ECU. One plug on, second plug. Ooh, hold on. Just undo the clip. Once again, I didn't hear it click. Right, should we see if this starts? Just need to find the key. And the key looks like this. Fingers crossed. But let's see what we get. We have a diesel. We have a throttle. I'm not sure if this is a success, but it smells like it for sure. So yeah. Silly grin. I think that's success. We'll see when I go down the road half a mile. The box is where my camera stands on. This is very high-tech stuff. Probably not clever having a whole sheet laying on top of your engine, but we'll worry about that in a moment. So yeah, thanks for joining me on this little trip. I think we have the Caddy running and me grinning. So we'll see when we take it out on the road, but I have to shuffle cars around and get all the cars out the way so I can get this one out onto the road. Yeah, thanks for the advice, the tips, comments, the subscriptions and all the rest, and I will be back at some point with a little test drive. So one of the other things I had done was obviously an immobilizer delete, because these immobilizers are known to give trouble. So I've put the key, the original key with its immobilizer, I've put up at the house and brought this one down. Let's see if we can get it started. Right, car starts without the immobilizer key. I think that's good news for me as well. So now the last job is really just to reassemble everything on the outside. I will leave this so that I can take it down to Cliff's so they can plug it in and just see if there's any faults. Now you see there's no fault now, just the handbrake light is on. Oh, there we go, we have a fault light coming on. So one hopes that the computer is telling it that there's something missing. Maybe it just wants a reset after the last faults were not reset. But for now, I am very pleased. Let's see if we have a throttle. Yep, we have a throttle as well. So it sounds good to me. Hopefully that's the end of the ECU concerns.